Let us get started with the third keynote presentation. Please welcome Ms. Katja Forbes, DEI Director of Data Visualization Society. She is a seasoned leader in the digital industry with a proven track record of driving growth and innovation. So, Ms. Forbes, the floor is yours.
Arigatou gozaimashita. Konnichiwa. Hello. Watashi wa Katja Forbes. I'm Katja Forbes. Kokko ni korete.
I am so pleased to come to this stage.
Nihongo ga dekimasen. I cannot speak Japanese, but I am genuinely very happy to be here. And thank you so much for having me to talk about how design can regenerate the earth. I'm going to talk about it through the three lenses of today's sessions. So if you think about the papers you've all heard presented, we've talked about design for humanity, design for human-centered technology, and behaviour design for the planet. So why am I here to talk to you about this? I'm a design leader. I'm currently leading a large design and content team at a global financial services company. I'm a keynote speaker. I am the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Director on the global board of the Data Visualization Society. And I've built and run and sold my own design consultancy. I also thrive in exploring all of the ethical opportunities that design and the power of design affords all of us. But there's another reason I'm here today, looking firstly through this lens of designing for humanity. Maybe we'll just wait for all the people who are still coming in for the break. Join us. We're so excited to have you back. So while I am all of these things and have gone through multiple hairstyles, thank you very much, COVID-19, I am also a farmer. I am handy with a chainsaw. I'm very comfortable riding around on my quad bike in the paddocks looking for weeds, the bane of my life, looking for lost cows, looking for missing sheep. I am also really happy getting wet and dirty doing farm chores, and farm chores always seem to involve getting wet and dirty. But this is where I'm happy. I'm also super excited about my lemon tree. This is one pick. That is a wheelbarrow, one pick from my lemon tree. I have no problem rehoming large reptiles. I'm originally from Australia, as you can tell. And I probably should have done a content warning, snake. Sorry, too late. But I am not afraid of snakes. This is an eastern brown snake, the second most deadly snake in the world, that my dog found for me and brought to me as a gift. I found it another home. The reason why I'm excited about these things and I can do these things and I thrive with these things is because this is my home. This is the place that feeds my soul. But before I talk about it, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Wiradjuri people, and I want to pay respects to elders past, present and future for that community. I recognise that sovereignty was never ceded in Australia and that I am talking about stolen land. But it is the place that feeds my soul as I am its current custodian. This is scribbly stow. Scribbly from the description of a scribbly gum, which is a particular tree in Australia, and stow meaning place of. This was designed by an architect, a young architect at the time in the late 1990s called Stephen Sainsbury, and it was a seminal design for him. And it was built by hand by Neil Cuthbert and Jackie Cuthbert, husband and wife, and their friends, basically, as enthusiasts. The design principle behind this house was to be a healthy home, both for the inhabitants and for the planet. And it was meant to be inspiring and life-affirming, taking a lot of inspiration from Neil Cuthbert's artistic points of view. It made the front cover of Straw Bale Building Book, a Earth Garden publication. And Stephen Sainsbury, he describes it as simplicity, as compressed complexity. This is a straw bale home. It's standalone, off the grid. There are no services running in and out. It's a very practical, linear, solar passive design. It has huge windows that face out to the north, to the sun, and it has hunkered, low curved walls on the east and west to block out the icy winds of the area in which I live. And these thick straw bale walls, they maximise insulation. They keep the temperature inside the house around about 22 degrees Celsius, no matter what's happening outside. It could be snowing and it's still warm inside due to the thickness of the straw bale walls. The kitchen is the heart of this home, and it's used minimal grown and earth palette of materials. The straw bales that I've talked about were grown on the property and baled from the property. And the rammed earth that makes the walls inside were created from mud dug from a dam on the property. So there's very few miles on this house. There's very few road miles. And the concrete, the only concrete in it, is the slab, and that is a low carbon fly ash concrete. And it uses slaked lime as the render for the walls. So all natural materials. And the way that they've done it is not only just doing natural materials, they've used a lot of recycled materials. So all of the bricks around the fireplaces in the house are recycled from the local email appliance. And email was the name of the company at the time, not an email. And they had an enamelling kiln, and they've recycled all of these bricks from the enamelling kiln. You can still see the W from the Westinghouse, which is one of the brands that was made by the appliance company. And the rest of those markings, their history has gone into the mysteries of the past. I honestly don't know what they mean, but to look upon them gives me delight. We have talked to my dog, Polly Jean Harvey, about sleeping in the danger cave, but she is unwilling to move out of it and finds it, very, very warm. So, it's on her if she burns herself. The other thing that the team who built it did was camp on site, so that they were actually minimising runs to town to get more materials, and they used the rail line that borders the property to bring materials on site. So the care and attention to detail, both in the build itself but in the approach to the build, has resulted in something that I think was talked about this morning, this ecological conservation. This is my favourite thing in the house. This is a fallen eucalypt from one of the paddocks that was milled and brought in to hold up the whole of the house and support this majestic clerestory window. It was put in a little bit green, so I don't know if you can see in this photo, but it is a tiny bit skewed, but it still holds the house up, and so for that we're profoundly grateful every day. All of the doors are recycled, all of the floors are recycled. Everything in the property has come from somewhere else. And to be honest, there's not really one perfect straight line in the house, but we kind of love it that way. This is the climate that the house operates in. As I said, snow in winter, it can be raining, it can be super, super sunny and 40 degrees Celsius. And Scribbly Stove, for the people who built it and first lived in it, the Cuthberts, was a life-changing project. Neil Cuthbert often describes to people what it was like living at Scribbly Stove, and he called it a well-worn boot. It was so comfortable and unique to those owners. And I feel privileged now to be the custodian of this, because custodian is all we can be. We are never the owners of this thing that we call Earth. The traditional owners of the land, they actually understand that and call themselves custodians as well. So I respect that attitude. Farming is also thinking 100 years ahead and making decisions that you will never, ever bear the fruit of or see them resolve in any way. But if you make good decisions, then it holds true for the people who come after you. Design is not about aesthetics or function only. It's a declaration of intent. It's a conscious decision to form or alter or affect environments or experiences. And the power of intentional design, which is what this is, can foster a regenerative relationship with the earth. Scribbly Stow is a declaration of intent to create a healthy and beautiful home, both for the people and for the planet. If we remove all the sentiment, there's a lot of sentiment there, I recognise there's a lot of feelings, and reduce it to its regenerative facts. So, firstly, straw sequesters carbon. It, like any plant, harbours carbon dioxide, and if you use it as a building material, that carbon stays locked in there, rather than if you leave it to decompose or burn it off or replace it. It's a renewable resource. We can grow it over and over and over again, and it's unlike conventional building materials like bricks or cement. It's very energy efficient, and I can attest to that. Having lived there, I feel the benefit. And you go outside and you put your hands on the walls, and you can actually feel the heat emanating from the walls that they've stored throughout the day. The description that I gave you about how they approach the build with minimal road miles, with intentional use of low-carbon transports, that's reducing the embodied energy that this property has created. It's biodegradable, seems obvious. So when it's finished, when it's done, the only thing that's going to be left here will be that low-carbon concrete slab. The rest of it can regenerate straight into the earth. And it's natural and non-toxic, because when you build with straw, you don't need to use chemicals and harsh toxic things. That's my first personal story around design for humanity. And looking at this just makes me sad because I miss my home so much. Because I am currently on secondment for the financial services company in Singapore. This is my local beach. This is the East Coast beach during southwest monsoon season. And this is the example I want to talk about for design for human-centered technology. Plastic leaks into the ocean from thousands of sources. And we heard in one of the papers downstairs today about a really amazing behaviour design for plastic recycling. But do you know, only about 9% of plastics actually get recycled. And about 22% of plastic waste worldwide isn't collected properly, isn't disposed of properly, or it just ends up as litter. And most plastic that ends up in the ocean, it either sinks or beaches within a month. So this is an example of a time when we needed to go and walk the dog and the poor thing had to run amongst the plastic. But, you know, my dog is not the only one who suffers here. I think marine wildlife is the ones who really get the most direct and damaging results from ocean plastic pollution. And that's all kind of creatures: fish, seals, crustaceans, microorganisms. All of them are getting damaged by plastic pollution in the ocean. Entanglement and ingestion has impacted 914 large species, and 100 of those are actually endangered. And researchers have spotted whales in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, where there's actually 180 times more plastic than biomass, which means that it's probably a big source of food for those animals and marine creatures. Enter one of my favourite human-centred technology projects. This is the ocean cleanup. What you're looking at here is the drone's eye view of Josh, so their System 3, which is a 2.2 kilometre floating barrier with 2 wings that go 4 metres deep, skimming the surface of the ocean. And they've got a garbage bag in that middle of the U there, which is called their retention zone. And they tow it by those 2 ships at about 3 kilometres an hour, slower than walking speed, which means that fish and marine life can swim in and out. It's not catching creatures as it goes. It operates in several steps. So the first one, they do targeting for the circulating currents that are in the earth to find where the garbage is. Then they capture it by maintaining that relative speed to the way that the plastic is floating and to the creatures in the environment. Then when they've captured enough of it, it goes into the retention garbage bag, which when full is pulled on board the vessel. And then they take all of those plastics and recycle them into products, sunglasses, T-shirts, that they then sell to supporters to continue to have an amazing funding for the project to continue. Now, I can talk about it as much as I like, but I feel like the best thing to do is to actually show you a quick video. This is them pulling the retention zone onto the deck and emptying it. This is one capture. You know, it hurts your heart a bit, doesn't it? Hurts mine. So the ocean cleanup has used a number of technologies to try and figure out where the plastics are. And they actually got a military plane and put sensors on it and flew it over the Great Pacific Garbage Patch to try and figure out how big the mass was. But then in 2018, 2019, they partnered with AI for Earth, which is a Microsoft hackathon project, and were able to get data scientists, designers, generalists, machine learning specialists, interns all came in to volunteer their time to help them, and joining forces in that way, they were able to actually build a solution that uses AI to identify where the plastic is going to be in the ocean. So these are the 5 ocean gyres, which are rotating ocean currents that just create a vortex for plastic to get stuck in. No guesses where the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is. It's number 1 up there. And this is what they modelled from their sensors with the plane, which is 3 times the size of France as a floating mass of plastic. They also have river systems as well. So this is the Interceptor in the Las Vacas River in Guatemala, which is an autonomous collection unit. And this is a fantastic example of design for human-centered technology, because while it's not going to space or anything like that, it's absolutely human-centered, because we are addressing a global human challenge caused by humans, affecting humans and our planet and the marine animals in the environment. It's an innovative design solution. It's so clever, I love it. And it has human-centered feedback loops as they've engaged marine biologists as stakeholders, community members. And it has that direct impact on the communities who it benefits, the coastal communities, the river communities. The technological integration is beautiful, using AI both to identify plastics and to find the plastics. And it has great educational and awareness efforts. They do a lot of outreach to people, and they do a lot of communication about their intent with this. And as one of their founders says, the ocean is the planet's life support system, and without a healthy ocean, we don't stand a chance. So the third example that I have for you around behaviour design for planet is somewhere that I haven't lived. I'm going somewhere much further. We go to Iraq. So Iraq is oil-rich, but war-battered, and it suffers from extreme summer heat, frequent droughts, and desertification. So climate change has led to huge environmental impacts here, and 15% of Iraq's surface is now currently categorised as being in a state of desertification. More than half the country is at risk of becoming a desert as well. More than 7 million citizens have been affected by climate change, with extreme weather events forcing them to flee and going to places where they can't earn a living because they rely on agriculture. And climate change has also impacted the physical environment in increased salinity, recurring drought, and declining surface waters. Countless solutions have been investigated, but it's an afforestation initiative that has taken root here. So the Iraqi Prime Minister has kicked off an initiative to plant 5 million trees this year, which is huge. This is a huge initiative for a country that has suffered so much. And the project has attracted a lot of endorsement from international communities like the UNDP, the United Nations Development Programme. And the campaign involves a wide range of activities: planting seedlings, creating nurseries, providing training and education. And it's carried out in several Iraqi provinces, including Baghdad, Basra, Mosul. And in essence, this Iraqi tree planting initiative is not just about planting trees, but it's about reshaping perceptions, fostering community, promoting education, and setting a behavioural blueprint that other nations and communities can emulate. Through these projects, design is becoming a tool to usher in behavioural change that prioritises the planet. It initiates consciousness, and looking at one of the papers also that was presented downstairs by my fellow Australian Emma Peters around behaviour design, what does make successful behaviour design? It's attractive, it's easy, it's social, and it's timely. This could not be any more attractive. This is planting trees in the desert. This is an easy thing for anybody to get involved in. Anybody can start becoming a part of this tree planting initiative. The social nature of it, it's communities who are coming together, and it's incredibly timely. This is necessary because half the country is at risk of becoming a desert. So the time for this is now. I want to leave you with a few reflections to close out today and then to go into tomorrow. With every stroke of the pen, with every pixel we create, with every brick that we lay, is a prophecy of the world that we wish to inhabit. When we design, we're not just creating for today, we're envisioning for tomorrow. We need to ask ourselves, what future are we drafting? And if our designs are blueprints, then let them be for a world that breathes and flourishes. Behind every design lies intent, a whisper of purpose that has the power to become a roaring wave of change. It's not just about creating something aesthetically pleasing, functionally efficient. It's about laying down a challenge, a proclamation, a statement to the world that says, this is what we stand for. When intentionality meets design, it creates ripples that can reshape societies, economies, and ecologies. And in every design decision, there lies a fork in the road. One path leads to more creation or mere creation, and the other one to meaningful impact. We as designers possess the power to choose, and every choice we make as designers is a declaration of our intent, a statement about the world we want to shape. What matters tomorrow is design today. The runway on making impactful change in these areas is short. You are the designers of today, so you better get working on tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Forbes.